Hello there, and welcome to Video Games and Such. Going to play something different now. I've been playing Sonic Mania, and I think I'm up to the last boss, but it's very hard, and I kind of wanted a bit of a change of scenery, so I'm going to play this. This is Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap, originally developed by a company called Xbone. I used to call them West One, but apparently it's Xbone. In 1989, or released in 1989, and it was originally called Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap, after the original Wonder Boy, and then Wonder Boy Monsterland. The original Wonder Boy, also you may know a game called Adventure Island. They're more or less the same game, just a bit different characters and things. And Adventure Island spawned its own series. That's another story. But Wonder Boy 3 is, in my opinion, one of the greatest games of all time. And this is a remake by Lizard Cube. And I very much admire one of the guys there called Bok, or Omar, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Cornu, who is a really good programmer developer. He created an emulator called Mecha, which is a Sega Master System emulator, which I have used that emulator so much over the years. Now, this is the story. Now, you might have noticed I can do this, which is basically shift from old to new graphics at the press of a button. I can also change the music anytime I want. So I'm playing in hard mode. I have already started playing hard mode, and I hadn't touched that save file for quite some time. And I thought, why not? Just something a bit different. Play this again. And so I'm recording it. Now, I don't know if I'll commit to this all the way to the end because it's very hard. I've already played on hard. As you would have seen from the file, the first one I beat on normal. I just didn't quite complete everything like that, didn't get all the items. And then I played on hard and I kind of hit a wall and gave up. Because in hard mode in this, not only, from what I understand, the enemies are harder to kill because they have more health. There's also a timer, which you'll see next to my health. Now what happens with the timer is, after a certain period of time, I don't know exactly what it is, a minute or something, you lose health. So basically the timer will get reset at certain points in time. The main thing I'm aware of that resets the timer is if you get a heart, a bit of health. But aside from that, I'm not too sure. I do know that if you enter certain areas where there's no enemies, time will kind of freeze, so that you don't have to worry about losing health there. And maybe when you go through a door or go from one area to another, it might reset there in that case as well. I'm not sure. That was an accident. Just brought up my inventory by accident. If you want to see what the game looked like originally, it wasn't 16:9 aspect ratio, and the heads-up display looked a bit different, but it's more or less the same. The graphics certainly look the same. They really did a great job of animating it and all that. I believe it runs at 60 frames per second, although I am only playing in, or rather recording in 30 frames per second, because the main reason for that is my internet's so slow that if I recorded faster, it would take a very long time to upload any videos, and I just don't have time. I was going to play a game called Dodge the Spirit, but never mind. Now, I'm going to be very careful. And so what happened was, the castle I'm in right now is the final castle from the previous game, Wonder Boy Monsterland. It's not exactly the same. It's a lot harder and longer in that, but the general gist is there. The graphics in this are quite a bit better than that. In the original, that is. As well as the remake. So, and so the idea is, and look, the last boss is the same as well. Although in Wonder Boy Monsterland, the last boss was just a regular old dragon, but then when you kind of beat it, sort of, it loses its skin, or it, you know, transforms into a robot. So that kind of sets up the start of this game. So it's basically the end of the last game, and you defeat the Mecha Dragon, and the Mecha Dragon places a curse on you and turns you into Lizard Man. Lizard Man can breathe fire, as you can see. You can duck as well. Ducking can be useful, so you can hit enemies that are short or small. But all the other characters have a sword and shield, whereas Lizard Man doesn't have a sword or a shield. So you can't really dodge attacks. This is the way I remember it, but this is the new one. It's very cool. Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap. However, that one says Wonder Boy The Dragon's Trap. Because they dropped the 3, because it's confusing, I just accidentally used that item. So, if you haven't played this before, I definitely recommend... well, if you're the type who doesn't like spoilers, and if you're the type who loves platformers, it's been referred to as like a Metroidvania type game. I'd recommend you just don't even watch this and go and play it instead, because there are lots of surprises and lots of secrets and that sort of thing that will spoil, such as this one. That's easy enough to find, really, but you'd probably have to look around in order to find it. So, first thing I'm going to do is buy some upgrades. I think I'm going to get the armor and the... Whoops, wrong button. Wrong button again. A. So, in the original, you'd have to equip them yourself, but in this it equips them automatically now. Can work in your favor, but sometimes it works against you, because occasionally you'll buy a piece of weaponry or armor or whatever that isn't as strong as what you had already, so that can sometimes work against you. So you notice these checkered patterns. They'll come into it later, and that can't get past there. Yeah, it's been referred to like a Metroidvania game, because basically each new form that you get transformed into, spoilers, every dragon transforms you into a different creature. Every new one has a new ability, and that lets you basically reach further parts of the game. So Lizard Man can't go that far, but what I basically want to do is each character has kind of a temple or like a dungeon type thing to beat, and then at the end of that dungeon is a boss, and the boss transforms you into the next creature until you get to the end, and then at the end you get transformed back into Wonder Boy, thanks to the Salamander Cross, which is an item that apparently is used to transform back to your original form. Now I just lost some health there. You may have noticed without getting hit, that was from the time. So, the cool thing about this was, back in the day, traditionally in a game, if you fell into the water, you'd die. But in this, fall into the water, hey, there's a whole other level under there. So, very, very cool. Might not seem like a big deal now, but at the time, it was amazing. And it blew my mind. Blew my tiny mind. Now, I didn't play it in 1989 myself. When this game came out, I played it probably in about 1993 maybe, or thereabouts. Somewhere between 91 and 93, probably the first time I played it. Also played a lot of the original Wonder Boy, and I played a lot of the second Wonder Boy Monsterland, which is also a great game. The original was a good game too, but it's much more of an arcade style game, and I don't know, it's just not as deep as this, basically, is the long and short of it. So there's a heart, and that was an arrow. Now the arrow is very useful. There's lots of different magical spells there, I guess there are. They all can do different things. This one, you can shoot upwards, and if I time it right, there we go. I kill the sun. Not the sun. Cloud. The Cloud who has sunglasses on. Because he's that cool. I used to think that was so cool that he had sunglasses on when I was a kid. So, what's here? It's a shop. Can't afford any of that. And here, this will let us get to the next part of the game, the key. I would like to have another arrow, but I don't like my chances. I'll probably get an arrow like after I need it. So with enemies, they're basically color-coded as to how hard they are. So you'll notice the Cloud has a red kind of outline, and that means that it's red. Red is the weakest. Green ones, such as that green crab that I just killed, green ones are the middle of the road, and blue is the most difficult or the strongest. Now, I guess this opportunity I'll go through some of the weapons, what's the word for? No, I don't have time. I'll do it when I'm back in town. I can go back to town before I run out of health. From the timer. The timer basically comes from the second Wonder Boy Monsterland, in that if you were too slow, you lost health, and there were these little timer items that you could get that would add time to the clock, basically, to the hourglass. But this does not have those hourglass things that you can collect to give you more time. So this is much harder. If you do play this, and it's the first time you've played it, I definitely recommend playing on the normal difficulty, or maybe the easy difficulty, but easy might be too easy. Not too sure. Now, you know what? I'm gonna heal because what to do? Actually, do you know what? I am gonna heal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heal, and it's free for the first time apparently, which is handy. And I'm gonna go back to where I was. I should have enough money by the time I get to the end to get that armor. And I'm gonna get the armor because, especially on hard mode, when you got the time limit, you need all the health you can get and all the defense you can get. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So excuse my backtracking. So I need to remember to kind of switch between different graphical styles and set music styles, because then you can experience both kinds. The graphics for the redesign remake are really beautiful. They're all hand drawn, and the sound is really good as well. But look, the original sounds great as well. There's also another bonus, which is FM sound. So on the original Master System, in the Western world, there was never FM sound, but in Japan, the Japanese version of the Master System, which was called the Mark III, had an add-on that let you play FM sound. And then they actually did release the Master System in Japan eventually, and that had FM sound built in without the add-on. So you notice when I got the heart, the hourglass kind of flipped over and reset. So, what I'm getting at is, if we go here, and we go here, if you listen, you'll notice that the sound is... I just intentionally went quiet there so you could hear the difference, but the music is different. It's got much more instruments, many more instruments, so I'll leave FM on for a while. I might turn it off at some point. Oh, and also, if you're into it, they've got scan lines and a retro monitor effect. Make things look a bit different. Scan lines are more for like kind of replicating the old CRT experience. Got him. Alright, let's get the armor. So, one thing that's been changed for both the modern and the retro is the inventory screen. In the original, it was completely different. You had to press pause to access that screen. And on the original Master System, the pause button was on the console, not the controller, so that was not ideal. That's one thing the Master System got wrong compared to the Nintendo Entertainment System, was no pause on the controller. I don't know what they were thinking, because by the time the Master System came out, the Famicom had already been out for a couple of years. So it was an interesting choice. Now, one thing that may have led to that choice was there was a console released by Sega, in, I think it was 1983, called the SG-1000. Now, not a lot of people are aware of it, but it's actually their first home console. Now, that basically had the same button layout, but it wasn't as powerful as this console. So I'm just kind of, oh, that's right, there's a door here. So this will give me a bit of cash and some items, which is handy. So I can demonstrate all the items now. So this one, the lightning, is pretty cool. It basically attacks every enemy on the screen. I need that. Oh, two of them. There's the fireball, which does this. Basically fires directly in front of you. And kind of I just wasted them all. In a zigzaggy sort of pattern, which is pretty handy in certain circumstances. You've got this one's a good time to use this. Tornado, I think it's called. That one is good because if an enemy's stuck in a little gap like that, it bounces back and forth, so it keeps hitting the enemy over and over again until it disappears. So that can be really useful. Oh boy. I should be ducking. So you'll notice that now I'm definitely not losing nearly as much health as I was, which is really good. So that's thanks to the armor. So the more expensive it is, the more powerful, stronger it's going to be. And it'll make getting through the next bit of the game a lot easier for me. And will hopefully prevent me from dying. I think it's very likely that at some point I'm going to die on this video. But when? That's anyone's guess. Let me use that. Okay, so we got the arrow. I already showed you the arrow. Now, my favorite is the boomerang. The boomerang comes back. So as long as you don't lose it, you can use it over and over and over again. But the drawback to that is that you can lose it. I'm not going to intentionally lose it because it's not the most common item that you can get. It's actually kind of somewhat rare. But at some point during this series of videos, I assume it's going to be multiple videos, I will lose it. So you'll see what happens. The way that you generally lose it is you throw it. It doesn't really throw it. It just kind of, yeah, it comes out of it. But if you jump after you throw it, generally, unless you can land within its trajectory, you lose it. So that's what happens with the boomerang. So sometimes I just completely forget about them, so I don't use them all the time, but they can be very useful. Now, I've got to be careful because I'm running low on health now, and the timer keeps hitting me. Here we go. So see, the timer's reset and it's frozen now. So I'm going to go back to the doctor, nurse. So yeah, certain things look quite different between old and new. This definitely modernizes it. So, got full health. I've got my armor. I'm good to go. So, we've made it to the desert. Now, the desert, you can actually go left or right, but just a clue. Right is more difficult. You already noticed that already because these are green enemies. And left is easier. And the reason that left is easier is because that's the place you're meant to go first. So that's the clue. So the desert is pretty cool. Definitely a lot more going on the remake graphics and sound. Nice background with the pyramids and such. There's the Sphinx. So certainly a lot more going on, but doesn't mean I don't like the original graphics. So I'm glad I got my health back there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this. Can you get that? Whoops. Can get a coin, but I wanted to go in the water. This is another one of those secrets where if you play it yourself, you might accidentally figure this out when you fall in. Because really, who's going to try and fall in here? I mean, some people might, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure the first time I found this bit it was totally accidental. So there's fish. Some of the fish we... I can't remember if we saw these types of fish underwater before. So, it's just an amazing game. I love it. Absolutely adore it. Now, I'm thinking, once I get up to Lizard Man's kind of, what's the word, temple, dungeon thingy, I might split it and stop this video. And depending on what time it is, I might also have some dinner. I'm starting to get hungry. Right, there goes a bit of health from the time limit. Now, I remember one time when this game was really new, I watched a guy play this on YouTube and he was playing it on hard, and he'd never played it before, so he wasn't doing that well and he was complaining about it. But obviously he was one of the types who plays absolutely everything on hard. And so, you know, if that's what he wants to do, so be it. But it was just embarrassing to watch, really. And you know, he probably didn't think the game was very good as a result. But I'm pretty sure it says on the first screen, you know, hard mode is only for expert players or something like that. So if he'd read that, maybe he would have not played on hard, but to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if he would have played on hard anyway, just because he's that kind of person. So, this part has pyramids in the background on this bit, which is pretty cool. I like the flowers, they're funny. Now, there is some health somewhere here, but I'm not going to bother with that. But what I am going to do is jump up here. So, once again, I'm revealing another secret-ish thing. So, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. It's much better to play this game yourself the first time. So, that's, again, entirely up to you. I don't say I didn't warn you, though. Now, one way to get money quick is to beat that guy over and over again, but I'm not going to do it this time around. I don't want to bore you. So there's a heart piece, very handy. Alright. There's some checkerboard patterns all over the place here. I wonder what that is. That you'll find out soon enough. So I'm going to climb up to the top of this, and I'm pretty much going to stop the video after that and then split it up and start recording the next one, unless I decide to eat instead. Now, I'm going to show you what happens when you go in this door. It's funny. There you go, some health. Oops. Now, I did mention before that there are red, yellow and green enemies in this version. There are others as well, but they don't come up until later. And I assume in hard they come up sooner than they do in normal mode. In normal mode they show up, I think, in some of the secret bits. Now, what was I saying? I lost the words of Frank Costanza, lost my train of thought. Gonna heal. Only 45 gold. Might as well. I was gonna say, downstairs where there was a springy thingy, I'm pretty sure in the original there was only one of them, not 4 of them. So that's a change. There were some changes to the game for the remake, just to make it a bit more, I don't know, modern and such. Alright, I'm gonna stop this video here. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you want to see more, you can click subscribe. And tell me what you think of this game. Do you like this game? Do you have childhood memories of this game? I know I do. It's just an amazing game in my opinion. But anyway, thanks for watching.